is a sort of serene, joyful way that you want to start a Wednesday morning or any day at all. Good morning to you, Grenada, Carrico, Petite Martinique, the rest of the Eastern Caribbean. It's the 8th day of the month of December, and the count is on towards the most wonderful time of the year that many argue that it is Christmas. I'm Joseph Cadore, and we say good morning to you wherever you are. Good afternoon, good night to you, depending on which part of the world you are logging in from. It's indeed another great day, and we're happy that you've chosen Classic in the morning time to be part of your day of success, another day of productivity, another day of the grind, another day, as we always say, that allows you and I to become better versions of ourselves, because yesterday's all gone and we're living in the moment. As part of living in the moment, we attempt every day to try to take ourselves to the next level. And today, for the word of the day is commensurate. Commensurate is an adjective, and it is spelled C-O-M-M-E-N-S-U-R-A-T-E. Commensurate, an adjective, and by definition, it is corresponding in size, extent, amount, or degree. It's proportionate. So, in terms of a job, it was given, and the job commensurate with her ability, equal in size, or coextensive. The word of the day, commensurate, and it's spelled C-O-M-M-E-N-S-U-R-A-T-E, and it is an adjective. Other words you can use for the word commensurate, it has to be proportional, proportionate. The opposite would be disproportionate. Yes? So, if something is either proportionate or disproportionate, you said it commensurate. And most of you hear when it comes to jobs that you say the job would commensurate based on your ability or your qualifications. So, whatever you're good for, let's work for what your ability certainly dictates. Moving right along in the morning time, let's look at the thought of the day. And I often try to give you more than one thought of the day. And I'll give you this one on the theme, sorry. So sorry works when a mistake is made, but not when trust is broken. So in life, make mistakes, but never break a trust. Because forgiving is easy, but forgetting and trusting again, it's sometimes impossible, if not difficult. Make mistakes, and mistakes are allowed in life, but do not break trust, because when it's broken, forgiving is easy, if not impossible. Your first thought of the day, as you go through the day, as you think of what next you can do, how do you become a change agent in your life? Well, simple. All you can change is yourself. The only thing I can change is me. But sometimes that changes everything. All that I can change and all you can change in your life is yourself. But sometimes the change that you make in your life, it changes everything else around us. We need to start taking a paradigm shift and ask ourselves, is not what's wrong with the world, but what am I not doing to make a difference in the world? Or what can I do to make a difference? It's not what's wrong in everybody else. It's what am I not doing so as to allow the other persons, the people that surround me, to become better individuals. Stop blaming, start living, and become a change agent. Time is fast spent, so we're going to run through. Let's see what's on the COVID. Let's see what's on the COVID chart. The COVID dashboard, we have one new confirmed case. Total active cases, 62. New recoveries, 2. And number of hospitalizations, currently 1. And that is always a good news. Always a good news. And we continue to smile and give God thanks and praise that the death column, due to COVID, has remained at 0. Zilch. Nada. Nothing. That's always good news. Let's continue to play our part collectively and individually to make Grenada a safer and better place. Even in the news that the curfew has been lifted. Is that something to smile about? Yes, it is something to smile about. But at the same time, it's not an occasion that allows us to put down our guard. Now, more than ever, the vigilance is needed. 15 minutes on to the hour, the morning edition comes up next right here on Classic in the morning time. For those of you that's on television, you get a rebroadcast of the top stories from last evening. The morning edition is next right here in Classic, and certainly we say good morning to those of you wherever you are on the Classic Network here at home, television, or you probably logging in via the World Wide Web, or our YouTube channel or Facebook page. Thanks for being part of the broadcast in the morning time. I'll see you on the other side of the clock.
The National Democratic Congress is making moves to have its caretakers selected, and the former interim political leader of the party seems to be taking the lead by stepping aside. In a statement issued by the party late Tuesday, it reads, and I quote, "As part of the process of beginning the selection of candidates to contest the next general election, the NDC is pleased to announce that the current caretaker for St. David has stepped down as a caretaker in light of the expressed interest of the political leader to contest the St. David's seat. We thank the prior caretaker, those who have supported him, and ask for their sustained support as he continues in the post of deputy political leader of the NDC. We look forward to this new phase of candidate selection in all our constituencies under the stewardship of our new party leader." End of statement. GBN attempted to contact Mr. Thomas for a comment as well as Mr. Mitchell, but all efforts proved futile. In other news, no more need to watch the clock trying to evade curfew hours, as the barrier is now removed. Cabinet has endorsed the Ministry of Health's decision to remove the midnight to 4 a.m. curfew for Grenada, effective today. Gerard Joseph has that story.
The complete removal of the curfew hours have come just in time for Christmas. The government of Grenada believes the curfew has had a negative psychosocial effect on citizens, and with that in mind, safely removing the curfew will bring leverage to the issues faced.
Take that into consideration when also looking at what's happening within the other regional islands, as well as the world at large. So it's breathing space, and I do hope, and we do hope, that this breathing space remains indefinitely.
But what do Grenadians really think about the ease of restrictions?
How I feel about the curfew hours? No more. I'm kind of relieved because we like to go late night fishing. My fiance likes to go late night fishing, so now that's an option, which it wasn't an option before. Also, we were hoping to be able to drive around the country on Christmas Day and visit family members. So now that we don't have to worry about a time limit, let's see how long it lasts.
What I believe is that they should keep the curfew as it is now, just to captivate on the action of the crime. Because if you notice, last weekend a lot of things happening, and prior to that it's happening. So it is to put it under control, the curfew should be like how it is and remain how it is.
Well, okay, well, that give me more time now that I could have to do more business. Like, okay, I have a call to rush home. You know, I'm not a limer, but it give me no time to do what I have to do, and so on. And I hope that that will remain that way until next year. And there will be no cases, and to add to that, and so on. And let's hope for the best.
More time to shop. What do you think about that?
I'm not into the shopping thing.
Grenadians will have much more time to socialize and spend time with their families.
That again even answers that we spend more time with the family, because remember that before the curfew and before the corona, people didn't have much time to spend with the family, only running. But now that gives us time to spend with the family, not because of no curfew again, but that we should leave it like that and remain like that with the family. So I appreciate that, and I hope for the best.
Health Minister Nicholas Steele says, though further ease in restrictions in regards to the complete removal of the curfew increases the risk, it is worth taking.
I think responsible governance necessitates that wherever possible, that easement, and whenever possible, that easement be given, with an understanding that we're in this together, and if and when, God forbid, there's a need again to tighten up on one area or another, we'll do so with that understanding of why.
Businesses now have the option of staying open later as the curfew removal goes into effect. I am Gerard Joseph for GBN News.
While many may have welcomed the removal of the curfew as of midnight tonight, a sore point remains. Many have been questioning the validity and necessity of the state of emergency, which was imposed as part of the COVID-19 response. Political leader of the National Democratic Congress, Deacon Mitchell, addressed this issue during a recent edition of GBN's Beyond the Headlines program. Mr. Mitchell says it is critical to note that the virus spread in Grenada through imported cases and that the spike in cases occurred while a state of emergency was instituted. He says he strongly agrees with the protocols which have been put in place to curb the spread of the virus, but he questions the rationale for the continued state of emergency.
The protocols, whether it's the social distancing, the making yourself healthy, the exercising, the building your immunization, the sanitizing, the washing of our hands, which should have been stuff we practice in any event. General cleanliness, healthiness must continue and must go on, right? But our lives also must go on. And a state of emergency, the spike happened during the state of emergency, right? And I don't know that the state of emergency is what led to the hike, to the spike dissipating, right? I think what we need to recognize is that we collectively have to be responsible for actions and to ensure that we promote our health and the safety of our citizens. But I don't know that simply continuing a state of emergency is the best method or way to address that.
Meanwhile, health officials are monitoring the outbreak of the Omicron COVID-19 variant and as such is reintroducing PCR testing at Morris Bishop International Airport as a precautionary measure. As it stands, Grenada only allows vaccinated visitors. Here's Rena Perry-Thomas with more.
With the help of St. George's University, the Ministry of Health said it now has the capacity to test on island for COVID-19 variants through samples. Health Minister Nicholas Steele, during Tuesday's news conference, announced the availability of 2 sequencers on the island and that they should be up and running within 2 weeks.
What we do expect within the next week and a half to 2 weeks maximum, that we will have the ability here in Grenada to do sequencing, to be able to identify the variants here in Grenada. So what we will be doing from then is that we would still send samples down to CARFA for verification, but we would also be doing our own sequencing here. So we get double verification of the presence of any of the variants. This is also in our strengthening of our health system and preparing for Omicron or any of the other threats that may come up from COVID-19, and also the reagents that are needed to do the various tests. Those will be coming within the next week or 2 weeks as well, so that we will be, so in effect it's 3 sets of tests that will be done on any sample of concern. It would be General Hospital, Ministry of Health, St. George's University, and CARFA.
Aware of the new Omicron COVID-19 variant plaguing different countries around the world, Minister Steele says that COVID-19 testing will be reintroduced at the Morris Bishop International Airport as a precautionary measure.
So we are observing what's happening with Omicron, and we are observing what's happening in terms of spikes or waves that we are seeing in other islands. We are monitoring. As a result of the Omicron threat, as well as spikes that we're seeing in the region, we are quite possibly, and we've made a decision to start back testing on arrival, but not quarantine.
Currently, Grenada has 68 active COVID-19 cases with 2 persons hospitalized. Out of these cases, 1 was recently diagnosed within the past 24 hours. While this is good news, the minister reminded Grenadians that it is not a time to become complacent with the stipulated protocols. He also gave an update on the students from the sister isle of Carriacou who contracted the COVID-19 virus.
We've had a total of 3 positive cases of children in Carriacou. They are all related to the cluster that was identified from one of the inter-island ferries. 1 student from Harveyvale, 1 student from Bishop's College, and 1 student from Hillsborough. There are further testing to be done today, but at this point in time, these are still contacts from the cluster of the inter-island ferry.
Steele says the situation with the students in Carriacou is a concern and as such is thankful that most schools are closed. For GBN News, I am Rena Ped Thomas reporting.
And Chairman of the COVID-19 Committee, Anthony Boson, welcomes $6 million allocation with plans for a massive vaccination campaign throughout the country. Cherry Blackman Stephen reports.
Chairman of the COVID-19 Committee, Anthony Boson, wants a massive vaccination campaign throughout the country to improve the country's COVID-19 vaccinated numbers. He said the biggest problem in Grenada is vaccine hesitancy, especially in the rural parishes.
That in the rural areas, among the poor, they are the least vaccinated. And when you look at the deaths, 200 deaths, 97% of those were not vaccinated. Significant proportion from the rural areas. Mr. Speaker, we cannot underestimate the importance of vaccination as a major determinant of the success or failure of this budget.
He said that a $6 million allocation given to the Ministry of Health to address the COVID-19 situation will be used to undertake a massive campaign.
The country is to be restored to a state of normalcy. We must improve on the vaccine uptake. And therefore, I see this special allocation has been critical to undertaking a massive vaccine promotion. This, Mr. Speaker, ought to be given special consideration, especially in the rural areas of our country where the level of vaccination is very low.
Mr. Boson also informed government that he wants to see a greater attention given to improving health facilities in the rural parishes. Finance Minister Gregory Boeing agreed to the need for Grenadians to take the COVID-19 vaccine.
The economy could close down again. The risk of keeping us afloat lies in our best choice of being vaccinated. Mr. Speaker, you hear what is coming. We do not have an economic flywheel with such a grand inertia that we could withstand many of these waves.
The latest figures released show that Grenada has 68 active COVID-19 cases, of which 1 is new and 2 remain hospitalized. 34,876 people are fully vaccinated and 5,963 are partially vaccinated.
It is therefore imperative for us to heed that call and for all of us to be ready and prevent a second or third wave. We have fought the good fight, we have come through, but all our beautiful plans will not materialize, Mr. Speaker, if we do not heed the cry and get ourselves vaccinated so that we can continue, Mr. Speaker.
There are 3 COVID vaccines available to the general public: AstraZeneca, Pfizer, and Johnson & Johnson. Cherry Blackman Stephen, GBN News.
Concerns have been raised in various quarters about the possible effects a 25% reduction on the non-fuel charge on Grenada bills can have on the company's operations and profit margins. However, government is moving ahead despite these concerns as majority shareholders in the country's lone electricity company. Gerard Joseph has those stories.
So government, as the majority shareholder, has decided in order to give relief to customers to reduce the non-fuel charge by 25%.
This was a response from Foreign Affairs Minister Oliver Joseph, despite acknowledging the possibility of losing company profits over such a move. By decreasing the non-fuel charge rate, Minister Joseph says it does not mean a corresponding loss in revenues will be witnessed, noting that an increase in usage would prevent such a likelihood. The minister, when pressed by GBN on government's promise to divest some of Grenlex shares to Grenadians, says they remain committed to that policy. However, he adds that there is no time limit for such a process.
So there's a new board of directors appointed. We have to look at the current status of Grenlex, do a thorough analysis, get an accounting firm to advise us. How long that will take, I cannot say. But the plan is, and I'm talking clearly now on government policy, is to divest shares to the Grenadian public. That is a policy.
Political leader of the National Democratic Congress, Deacon Mitchell, responding to the reduction, notes that this remains to be seen as the non-fuel component is the entire cost of Grenlex operations, excluding diesel cost.
Made possible because as the main shareholder of the company, the government may decide it doesn't want the company to be profitable, and if they wanted to operate at a loss, so that it can subsidize the cost of electricity. But I will also say this, the government is not the only shareholder of Grenlex. There are other small shareholders, and I don't know that a small shareholder of a company will agree to the majority shareholder running the company in such a way that the company makes a loss, and the small shareholder is deprived of the benefit of owning a profit on his investment.
NDC Flow member and economist Lennox Andrews highlights that revenue could fall by 1.8 million monthly.
If the revenue falls and the profitability falls, it also means that the share price of the company falls. Yeah, and given the amount the government might have paid, I think it's around $14 per share to regain the company. You're really putting the company assets. And
GBN's question on whether government will remain the major shareholder was met with silence.
But Minister, would government remain the main shareholder? Major shareholder?
I am Gerard Joseph for GBN News.
Business owners within the hotel industry are happy with government's move to cap the high cost of electricity. Let's get more from this story from Rena Pierre-Thomas.
Chairman of the Grenada Tourism Authority, Barry Colimo, has welcomed the reduction in electricity rates. He thinks it will bring significant benefits to the tourism sector. Colimo thinks this will help hotels to offer more competitive rates.
As I have always said, the cost of energy is or has been extremely prohibitive to the hotel sector, where as much as 30 to 40% of the hotel room rate going towards paying for electricity. With the 25% reduction in the non-fuel charge, it will make a huge difference to hotels, and it will make Grenada more competitive as a destination by eliminating some of the price inelasticity in room rates, meaning that we were not able to compete as well as we should have been with our neighbors who could offer better discounting and so on.
The reduction comes as hoteliers hope to restart the season on a positive note after being closed for close to 2 years.
I've been getting numerous calls from hoteliers who some of who didn't think that this was possible, but now they're realizing that it is possible, and they're extremely happy. With the reduction in electricity, it gives hoteliers the chance to reduce some of their fixed costs and to be more to have a price structure that is more elastic and more flexible. So it's a huge step. It's one of the biggest steps in terms of the transformation of tourism in Grenada, and I would encourage the government to continue with the further reduction of energy. But this is huge, and it is a monumental step for tourism.
In the 2022 budget presentation, Finance Minister Gregory Bowen announced a slur of measures designed to benefit householders and businesses. He announced that as of December 18th, government will cap the cost of the fuel price at $15 per gallon, a decline of $2.24. There will also be reductions for domestic customers and businesses which use 500 or more kilowatts per month. For GBN News, I am Rena Pett Thomas reporting.
Police officers, nurses, wardens, ancillary workers within the Ministry of Health and other public workers are down to receive either an extra month or a half month's pay as bonuses. Government officials sought to clear the air on the disbursement and timelines in which these workers will receive the extra payments. Gerard Joseph with the details.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Finance, Mike Sylvester, has committed to a December 17th payment for all public sector frontline workers receiving an extra month's bonus salary via the Consolidated Fund.
As I said, everybody will get paid by the middle of the month. So 17th December, everybody will at least get something. Right? The criteria really relates to the additional a half month for persons who are frontline workers other than the police and the health.
These workers are defined as all officers of the RGPF, medical personnel and ancillary staff within the Ministry of Health who physically performed and were exposed to COVID-19 by the nature of their duties. NIS deductions will be made on the first salary of all employees receiving bonuses, while income tax payable for only those already in the system.
If you were to get the additional payment that will take you over the threshold in a particular month, taxes will not be deducted from that additional pay. Now, if you're already paying taxes, you're already in the net, you already taxes already being deducted from your regular salary, then of course the salary will be deducted. The taxes will be deducted. That's the PIT I'm referring to, will be deducted from that additional amount.
Another category of employees to receive bonus payments, as announced in the budget, are those who functioned as frontline workers. Sylvester says these workers will either receive the additional 1 month or half-month payments based on the criteria developed. Foreign Affairs Minister Oliver Joseph elaborates.
And it is not based on your status of employment. So it is not whether you are a contract worker or a money worker. All workers. So if you're a frontline worker and you're on contract, you still get a month. If you are in the public service, not a frontline worker, but you are a Imani worker, you have a contract for service, you have a contract, Government of Grenada contract, you will qualify for the half month.
The Permanent Secretary clarifies that though other public officers are scheduled to receive their additional half-month bonus before the first quarter of next year, the ministry is seeking to exceed expectations and pay the disbursements before year-end. I am Gerard Joseph for GBN News.
The recently appointed chairman of the Spice Mask Committee, Arlie Gill, says if things continue as they are trending, there is a possibility that some form of carnival could be held. However, there's a caveat.
That decision ultimately would have to be made by the cabinet and the government. But I believe that what we are seeing now with St. Kitts looking to have carnival at the end of December, Trinidad and Tobago is looking to have some sort of carnival, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Martin, and so on. They're speaking about carnival. And from the experience of 2020 with Miami and with the advent of virtual events and the fact that some countries also has embarked on doing events where only fully vaccinated persons enter venues and fetes and parties and so on, that there is, to my mind, some sort of a good prospect that we can have a carnival in a particular shape or form.
Speaking on GBN's Beyond the Headlines program on Monday, Mr. Gill said while the carnival may not follow the traditional outline, there's room for some level of activity. However, he says while he and his team are working on doing the convincing, those who want the carnival must also play their part. He cited the recently held carnival activities in Sabah, where Grenadian John August Martin is based.
But I would like to use the opportunity, and I believe it is extremely important that if more persons in Grenada get vaccinated, it gives us a stronger argument to lobby government for us to have some form of carnival. Of course, one will have to look seriously at and closely at whether or not we'll be able to have public parades, as you know, the Juve parades and the Monday night mass and so on. But I believe that we will be able to do some events, national events, in controlled venues. And we have 8 months down the road, but I think right now the vibes must be for more and more Grenadians to get vaccinated. I think that would give us, because as John was pointing out earlier on offset, that Sabre is over 90% vaccinated, and they were rewarded, John, with a carnival. So that if we have 100% Grenadians vaccinated, I think that the Prime Minister and the Cabinet will feel hard-pressed for us not to have Carnival 2023.
And now let's turn our attention to what has been creating a buzz on social media. Rena Perry-Thomas has been looking around the platforms.
We present the news. You analyze the various topics and distill the issues as they unfold. Your distillation points matter, as we're about to highlight them in our Social Buzz report.
Restrictions are imposed on the unvaccinated entering the Esplanade Mall in St. George's when cruise ships are in port. GBN brought this story, and your online audience took to the comment section to air your views. Marilyn Gordon said, after the ship leaves, while your money should be of value to them, you all are nationals. Other countries still allow you to shop in stores once you have your mask on. Why you all have to be treated like that? Allegedly. Empress wrote, the majority of persons in Grenada is unvaccinated, so therefore, if everyone takes a stand, there can be a change. But then again, most of us just like to sit back and have them do us what they want. Ain't see why we have a vast majority against something and we have the power to get it done and just not doing anything. Judy Langon commented, salvation is granted to whosoever. Now we need to have ID cards to enter the mall. Let them go ahead. I hope they know what they are doing. God is watching. He is boss and no one else. Grenadians, stop provoking God's wrath upon our land. Marcel Lewis asked, who Grenada belongs to, the vaccinated or all Grenadians? And finally, Zara commented, let the tourists always come and buy. Hope they buy all you out. Hope when tourist season close or this boat go back, hope all you don't beg us to buy. That's a wrap for tonight's Buzz. Continue to share your thoughts and concerns with us on our social media platforms.
To play their part in the campaign that kicked off on November 25th, members of Seroptimus International Grenada took the time to advocate and educate the population on abuse through an education campaign on Monday. More in this Rena Perry-Thomas report.
Members of Seroptimus International Grenada took to the streets of St. George on Monday with pamphlets and other information brochures as part of a campaign to educate and advocate the public on violence against women and girls. This comes as Grenada and the rest of the world recognize the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, an annual international campaign that kicked off on November 25th and runs until December 10th, which is Human Rights Day. A new member of the local Seroptimus group, Marilyn Winsborough, spoke of the day's event and what it entailed.
In which we want to portray silent witnesses, that is circumstances and experiences that actual victims of domestic violence and violence, especially we're focusing on the women today, okay? As part of the activities, persons who are passing by will come to inquire as to what this witnessing of violence is all about. We also have pamphlets that we are sharing out to educate people about violence against women and domestic violence and all kinds of violence as a matter of fact.
Seroptimus International is a worldwide voluntary service organization for women who work for peace and in particular to improve the lives of women and girls in local communities and throughout the world. Winsborough believes that much more could be done when it comes to addressing and preventing acts of violence and educating the public on it.
And I think we need to have a hype, not only for 16 days, but we must always maybe we need to have a special bureau or something like that, which we focus on violence against women. Because remember, violence against women, we tend to see it as a physical thing. But remember, this thing goes with you for life. The psychological, emotional scars that you have. I also find that we should go along talking to our schools. Our young men and young women should know what is meant by intimate partner violence, for example.
For GBN News, I am Rena Pet Thomas reporting.
And now let's take a peek through the GBN Eyesore lens.
A good eye captures all. GBN Eyesore is brought to you by Clear Vision.
Life is beautiful if only you can see it. Clear Vision Eye Center helps you do just that. We provide expert service, classy eyewear, and cutting-edge technology, all with a quality customer experience. See better, feel better, and look better. Meet us today at clearvisiongrenada.com or call 444-0055, WhatsApp 409-0055, or follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Clear Vision Eye Center. Let's see life and the world with a clear vision.
Tonight's Eyesore submission features what our reporter says is an amazing creature. Our citizen journalist noted, quote, "I came across this amazing creature this morning and had to take a picture to share God's amazing creation," unquote. We thank our Eyesore reporter for this submission. Send us your photo and video submissions via WhatsApp on 405-3052 or our other social media platforms.
Welcome to Voyager, your favorite home goods store. Visit us today at our upstairs branch for the best variety in curtains, bedside lamps, Christmas decor, throw pillows, blankets, bathroom sets, and so much more. Downstairs you'll find all your home good items at the best prices. We hope to see you soon.
But in the meantime, the sweet melodic sound of the man Kenny G in the morning time. Good morning and welcome back to our viewers. Those of you that's just joining us via the GBN television or the different platforms, be it social media or otherwise. Thank you and welcome. As intimated, my guest is Mr. Ryan Savini, and he's here through the U.S. Embassy as based in Barbados. That's the Overseas Criminal Investigation Unit, which is attached to the Regional Security Office. And Ryan, good morning to you. Welcome to Spice Country. How have you been thus far?
Everything's going well. Good morning to you and good morning to Grenada.
I'm happy that that is the case. Thanks for being part of this morning's program. Master Control, I seem to have lost. I just need to make one. Master Control, work with me. Just put me back on. Just give me a break for 30-second break, Master Control, and I'll be back with you.
Introducing YouTube and TikTok to the Digicel Prime Bundle. Now get 1 GB daily to enjoy more YouTube. Plus 1 GB daily to like more TikTok videos. It's simply more entertainment bundled together. Get a 7-day bundle for $35 in My Digicel. More apps, more data, more fun. Digicel, better together.
Thank you. Welcome back, and an apology for that short interruption. As I was saying, my guest this morning is Ryan McSivany, and he's here as part of a 3-day training course that's been facilitated through the U.S. Embassy, through the criminal investigation unit. And it's to do with fraud prevention, first of all, and detection. Started yesterday. It will be conducted for 3 days with members of the Royal Grenada Police Force, Customs Exercise, and other bodies. Just give me an overview of the 3-day exercise.
Sure, Joe. Again, thanks for having me this morning. Our goal is to prevent fraud and detect fraud down here throughout the Caribbean. So I work at the United States Embassy, and I'm tasked with looking into the fraudulent use of visas and passports by people who don't deserve to have those documents. A big part of our role is to train our counterparts throughout the Caribbean, and we focus on how to identify imposters, how to identify fraudulent documents, and the techniques that people can use to understand those documents and where there might be fraud, where there might not be fraud. And then a very large part of the training also focuses on modern day slavery, which is better known as human trafficking. So we're taking a look at that. We're also talking about techniques and how to identify human trafficking and how to prevent it so we can try to end this modern day form of slavery.
Well, while you mentioned human trafficking last, I'll probably want to jump into it first, because sometimes when we hear the conversation, Ryan, it seems almost far-fetched that this is actually something that's happening in our backyard. Is this a figment of your imagination, or is this a real-life crisis that needs to be addressed now?
It's the former. It is a real-life crisis that needs to be addressed. Fortunately, throughout the region and in Grenada specifically, we don't see a whole lot of human trafficking. So our goal during this training is, 1, to raise awareness, and 2, to equip our fellow Grenadians with the tools and skills they need to prevent it before it does become a major problem throughout the region.
What drives human trafficking, though?
Excuse me?
I'm asking, what is it that drives the problem of the issue of human trafficking?
What drives it is nefarious actors, greed, and folks that are trying to profit and take advantage of poor and impoverished people. And they are usually susceptible and very easy to coerce and to take advantage of. And one thing that we don't see in the Caribbean, but we do see in the United States with human trafficking, it typically relates to 2 things. 1 is prostitution, and 2 is labor trafficking. So folks are trafficked in to work menial and sometimes difficult jobs in very harsh and inhumane conditions. And then there are people who profit off of their labor. And also what we see too throughout the world when it comes to the prostitution piece of human trafficking is that women will typically be given drugs, strung out, and they are taken advantage of as they start to develop addictions to serious substances and hard substances. And then they depend on their pimps. They depend on the folks that are running these human trafficking networks. And it's a very awful case. I've worked as a criminal investigator in the United States, and I've had a lot of these cases, and just seeing people live in absolute squalor with substance abuse and addiction issues is a difficult thing, and that's why we try to prevent this.
So there is the human trafficking element, and as you've highlighted, is while it isn't something that we are unduly worried about, certainly there need to be greater consciousness, if not here at home, but across the region and what's happening around the world. The issue of fraud and detection. What are the trends that you've noticed, Ryan?
So we've seen quite a bit throughout the Caribbean where people will try to use fraudulent identities, and they will try to use fraudulent companies, things like that, to try to get legitimate documents for presentation to obtain a visa or a passport. We've also seen people that have tried to enter the United States simply illegally through boats, aircrafts, and things like that.
How would one be able to identify and make that determination through training? What are some of the information and techniques that's been passed on to the trainees over the next couple of days?
Sure, absolutely. So with regard to imposter detection, we live in a world of advanced technology today, but I always like to tell our folks that we work with, it's very good from an investigative standpoint to stick to the fundamentals. So if you can't rely on facial recognition software to identify an imposter, how can you make a split-second decision if you're an immigration officer or a police officer by looking at a document and doing a basic analysis, measurements, looking at the nose, looking at the mouth, looking at the different facial features and things like that, that will help you make that determination. And oftentimes an investigation, as you know, whether it's a law enforcement officer, an immigration officer, or an individual who works for one of the airlines, that decision and that moment can lead us to a very bigger investigation and sometimes lead us to the individuals that are doing bad things to people and trying to traffic people. The other thing that we're focused on is the document itself. So if you look at a U.S. passport, you look at a U.S. visa or a visa from Grenada or any other of the EC countries, what security features are embedded in those documents? How can you look at the numbers and break it down? How can you look at the dates of birth and break it down? How can you determine if this person is in fact who they say they are saying?
So there is the detection element, and that training will take care of that. But there's also the prevention aspect of it. How do you prevent it to start with?
Well, I wish we could prevent all types of fraud, but unfortunately we can't. And a lot of what we do to prevent it is education and partner nation capacity building, which is training courses like this and other liaison types of things that we do. Is we use information. We may have a good lead or a good piece of information on a human trafficker or a human smuggler, and then we will share that information with our counterparts in the Royal Grenada Police Force or any other law enforcement agency throughout the region, and that will help us prevent crimes before they start.
The issue of detecting fraud goes just beyond somebody merely trying to make their way from one country into another for whatever reason. But would you agree that more often than not, it has to do with drugs, gangs, underhand activities, illegal activities, more so?
Yes, absolutely. And this is why this is such an important case. When you hear passport fraud or visa fraud, it doesn't necessarily have that same type of sexy topic of drug trafficking, money laundering, things like that. But the basis of a lot of identity fraud lends itself to other crimes, human trafficking, drug smuggling, money laundering, and all those types of things. So a lot of these things coalesce together. And once you start to put the pieces together and understand where these areas connect, these types of investigations typically lead to large-scale fraud, drug trafficking, and then we're able to work with our counterparts to look for federal indictments and also prosecutions down here with the different folks we work with in the Justice Department.
And I'm assuming, right, that all of this comes as part of that growing, maintenance and growing relationship and the commitment of the U.S. To the region and Grenada by extension.
That's correct.
Let's talk about some of the trends. You talk about technology. I mean, people would go at any lengths, to conceal their identity for whatever reason. Let's talk about some of the, what is it that's trending out there, just for the purpose of educating the general public.
Sure. For the general public, what we see quite a bit in the United States is aggravated identity theft. We see people who can use the dark web or the internet in general. They can steal your name, your social security number, your date of birth, and then they can apply for a passport. They can apply for credit cards. They can apply for home loans and things like that. So we have very strict laws in the United States when it comes to aggravated identity theft. And once someone commits an aggravated identity theft crime, they're also making false statements. So if you fill out a passport in another individual's name, you sign and swear to the veracity of that document, you have a federal crime there, a false statement, which we typically prosecute for. So these are some of the ways that people do it, but I can't underestimate the use of technology and the ability of people to also access social media sites, your Facebooks, your Twitters. People put a lot of information about themselves out in the public domain. And that's one thing I'd like to stress to your viewers this morning. Be careful with your information. We're not saying don't use these things. It's great to be able to connect with people. It's great to share a photograph when you go to a nice restaurant or go on a nice tour somewhere, but you need to protect that information. And I don't think it's as prevalent in Grenada as it is in the United States, but just take care of your information, look out for your kids' information. And one thing we've seen repeatedly in the US, and this dates back many centuries, is children are more vulnerable. Not just when it comes to human trafficking, but also when it comes to identity theft, especially now when folks have all their stuff out on social media. It's very easy to steal the identity of a young child. And when that child gets to be an adult and they go for a home loan or they go for a college degree, there could be someone using that identity. And we've also seen cases where people have used children's names to steal credit and money and things like that.
So while it may not be a prevalent issue at home, the general idea is to awaken your consciousness that, listen, this is real, and it may not be happening on our front door, but it affects us one way or the other. You made mention, Ryan, about the keeping our children safe, and I think that is a conversation that would resonate with each and every one of us. It doesn't matter where we are, U.S. or here. Keeping our children safe, keeping our information private on social media platforms, and I know you cannot underscore the importance of it, but what are some of the tips that you would offer as an expert in terms of from parents and even children themselves when in using the internet?
Yes, absolutely. So for parents, be involved, understand what your child is doing, but also allow them to have some type of privacy. But I don't think it hurts to take a look at your child's Facebook account. I don't think it hurts to take a look at any social media platform that they may be on. And also, some of the old rules are just the best. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. We see a lot of fraud related to diversity visas throughout the world. And, hey, you've been selected by the U.S. government, send us $2,000 and you'll get a U.S. visa. Probably not true. Follow the rules, follow the procedures, and at all costs, omit your personal information, your protected information, your name, your date of birth, your passport number, whatever your national registry number is down here in Grenada. I'm not 100% familiar with how the system works in Grenada, but keep that stuff out of the public domain. And again, encourage your kids. There's a lot of people who throw lures out to try to attract kids that are then human trafficked. We have an opportunity for you to work and make, X amount of dollars on a construction project in the United States. Look at the company. Is it legit? Is the phone number legit? Can you contact these people and confirm and verify the information? I have a friend who lives in South Florida, and she was telling me the other day how her son, who's about 10 or 11 years old, fell in love online. And then they ended up doing their homework and finding out that the 12 or 13-year-old female he thought he was communicating with online was in fact a 26-year-old recidivist offender who was previously convicted for sexual crimes. So these are things to be aware of, and just a few tips that I'd like to share with your viewers.
Let's go back to the trading session. Give me a sense of some of the entities that's participating in it and the feedback that you've received thus far.
Can you repeat that? You broke up. I'm sorry.
I was asking if you could give me a breakdown of some. I know there is the police, the RGPF, customs, and so on. If you could give me a breakdown of some of the agencies that's participating in the training and what has the feedback from them been.
Sure. So we've got about 3 organizations represented. You mentioned 2, the Royal Grenada Police Force, Customs, Immigration, and then also American Airlines has sent a few of their folks to participate as well, which is very good. And everyone's on the front line. We had a chance to meet with some of their folks who said that they send their people to training every year to understand human trafficking and some of the trends and tactics and all that. But so far, feedback's been good. We've already completed the first day. We're rolling into the second day so far, and it's a very open and collaborative course that also focuses on not just sending information, but receiving information from them as well. You have a lot of expertise in the field. And then we also do quite a few practical exercises and do hands-on things so that they can practice the skills that they're learning.
When you say practical and hands-on things, anything you can probably share with us this morning that the general public can at least themselves be educated?
Sure, absolutely. We are going to present folks with a trove of documents, and they're going to have to leaf through them and make a determination if the documents are in fact valid or if they are fraudulent. And then that'll work itself into another exercise that we're going to do, which is victim-centric interviewing. And it focuses on how do you elicit the information from someone who may have been trafficked, whether it's a prostitute, whether it's a student or whatever. How do you employ the skills of sensitive and caring investigations to get the information you need in hopes that this person can be a good witness and testify and get you potentially an indictment and a prosecution of folks who may be involved in fraudulent document manufacturing or human trafficking, human smuggling.
Well, Ryan, I know you have another busy day on your hand. I certainly appreciate that, which did the time. But COVID as it is, though, Ryan, before we leave, has it introduced any new complexities to the challenge that exists? What you do on a day-to-day basis in terms of fraud detection?
It definitely has, and I think, sure. I would say that human trafficking and human smuggling has not stopped in spite of COVID, but we do see a bit more sophistication as it goes into the manufacture of fraudulent documents and things like that. And I think it goes to the fact that a lot of people have more time on their hands right now. And when people have more time on their hands, they can come up with more nefarious ideas to make money or commit crimes of human trafficking, drug smuggling, and things like that. So.
And I'm assuming in the same context, parents they themselves, given that the criminals, they have more time online, parents should be conscious as to the amount of time that their kids spend online and the activities and exactly with whom they are engaging with.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What should one do, Ryan, and any wherever they are, because you do have persons, this broadcast is not just being broadcast locally, but across the diaspora. What should one do if they sense they have suspicion regarding some fraudulent activity? What should the course of action, immediate course of action be?
Sure. Take good notes, document it, and report it to the proper authorities. There are hotlines and there's NGOs throughout the regions that assist with human trafficking and human smuggling. And as law enforcement officers and in the U.S. and with our partners down here, we're interested in any information and any lead that could potentially lead to a prosecution.
Indeed. Ryan, is this your first trip to Grenada?
Yes, it is.
Just how many days have you spent it? Have you gotten a chance to move around and get some of the most scenic elements of the country?
Yes, we've seen a few things so far. We have a full trip. So I arrived on Sunday evening, and I don't leave until Saturday morning. And every Grenadian's been very kind and caring and welcoming. It's a great vibe down here in the Caribbean. So I got to Barbados about a year ago, and we had quite a few plans to get to Grenada, but we had to hold off because of the COVID protocols and things like that. But no, I'm very fortunate to be here. We're having a great training and a very warm welcome from everyone in Grenada. So I hope to get out and have a little bit of fun too once we wrap things up.
By the way, and I'm telling you this, and I promise not to tell anybody else, would you give up Barbados any day and come live in Grenada?
Oh, that's a good question, but I'll have to answer that on Saturday once the trip's wrapped up. Too early to make a determination right now.
Either way, Ryan, I really appreciate the effort and the time from the U.S. Embassy in terms of being able for the collaboration and the sharing of information. And you would agree, Ryan, that is becoming more and more an integral part, this sort of collaborative work in keeping not just the U.S. safe, our boundaries, and the region on a whole.
100%. And I've been doing this job for a very long time. I've served in the Middle East. I've served in a lot of different countries throughout the world, and it's absolutely that collaboration and that cooperation between countries that protects everyone's mutual interests and keeps things moving along. And no, I think it's a mutually beneficial relationship. And if you need anything, if you have any information, please feel free to reach out to us. We're always available and look forward to working with everyone.
Thank you, folks. My guest, Ryan Savini, and of course, he's the team from the Overseas Criminal Investigation Unit attached to the Regional Security Office at the U.S. Embassy in Barbados. And Ryan is here. Came in on Sunday, leaving on Saturday. Ain't you a blessed guy? Ryan, all the best. You take care, and happy holidays in advance to you, comrade.
You too. Happy holidays to you, and take care. Thank you.
Take care, Ryan. Ryan Savini there attached to the U.S. Embassy, and he's here on a 3-day stint dealing with the issue of fraud detection and prevention, working here with the IGPF Customs, and he did highlight that there are some folks from the airlines as well. 17 minutes on to the hour. We'll take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back right here on Classic.
Let's get tough on greed, yeah, larceny. It will destroy our economy. Larceny threatens our food security. Can hurt us locally, hurt us globally. To all the buyers, ask for license from all produce sellers. To all the people, 300 for police for them thieving fellas. To all the families, don't steal produce from your brother. Then you sell it to traffickers, hotels and street vendors. Nah, man. Let's do all we can to stop greedy larceny. New vigilance, new laws, and a tough judiciary. Stop Grenada's organized business crime. It's time.
To report greedy larceny, call 300.
Are you looking for quality herbs, or are you thinking about having a complete body cleanse to jumpstart your health? Then no need to look further. Visit Nirvana Natural Health Clinic, Detox Center, and Natural Health Store. We carry a wide range of herbal products for kidney and gallstone cleansing, male sexual enhancement formulas, asthma and sinusitis, gas and bloating, acid reflux, constipation, arthritis, imbalanced hormones, female health issues, liver cleansing, weight loss, and so much more. Also available, colonic irrigation, holistic health consultations, essential oils, and diffusers. Look out for our online natural health store coming soon. Call 231-6642 418-7115 or 449-7753 to find out about our delivery options or to book an appointment. Visit us at Belmont St. George's, close to the Fallage, Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Nirvana Natural Health Clinic. Detox your way to health.
Get Rubigas. Get cooking. Rubigas, clean, safe, and reliable LPG is the perfect solution for your commercial and everyday needs. For cooking at home or barbecuing, choose Rubigas LPG cylinders. Available in a variety of sizes from 20 to 100 pound cylinders. Rubigas LPG, clean, safe, reliable. Are you cooking with Rubigas?
Get going.
You have been waiting on it all year. Now it's your chance to make this Christmas better than ever. Get the extra cash you need with a Make This Christmas Better loan from the GUT Credit Union. Get up to $50,000 to celebrate your Christmas and make your holiday dreams come true. Home improvements, new furniture, a vehicle, debt consolidation, or even a vacation. We can help you get there. Yes, you can. Make this Christmas better with the GUT Credit Union. It's where you belong.
And welcome back to our viewers on GBN Television. And we say good morning to those of you wherever you are. The man Junior Checkley, good morning to you. It's time for Traffic Cam. You on the
Good morning, Joseph. Good morning.
You on the Calavini Main Road?
Yes, we just passed the cliff, and the location which we are passing now is just before Williams Corner.
What can you tell us?
The road is.
We have a visual on
Williams Corner up to the intersection to go down Toby.
Okay, is it possible you could probably get? I haven't been. Actually, I was on that side on Saturday evening, but can you give us the luxury of some visuals so at least we can see for the purpose of the folks that are on television?
Yeah, the road is. The visual is on Facebook. So the road is very deteriorated. Now I have a line of traffic behind me, and we are in Vicky Crossroad.
Okay, so what can you tell me about the traffic in terms of the flow this time of the morning?
Surprisingly, Joseph, this morning there's a smooth flow of traffic.
Okay, there is a smooth flow of traffic. Is it normally that's not the case? That's what you're saying for this time of the day?
In this direction around this time of the morning already, and there usually be heavy traffic.
Yeah, okay. Any other observances in terms of impediments to the road?
Be kind of slow.
Okay. So from Calavini, which direction are you heading?
Heading into St. George.
You're heading into the city side.
Yeah, Tantine.
You're going through Tantine. Well, folks, as you can hear from the Joe School team, a light traffic flow this morning coming through Calavini. You're doing Calavini, go through Springs, Tantine, and into the city center.
Yes.
Thank you, the Master Control. We seem to be having some Checkley Jr. and his camera seems to be all over the place. But again, we say thanks to Junior Checkley. We didn't get the regular visuals that we normally get this morning in terms of the flow of the traffic and everything else. But we certainly do appreciate for those of you, if you again wherever you are, do care and attention on the road. Continue to be mindful. I always say, look out for those that not necessarily looking out for themselves. Just be cautious. A good word of advice. There's literally, you have nothing to lose any time of the day at all. Just continue just to be safe and do what you have to do out there. Either way. It is 10 minutes on to the hour in the morning time. For those of you getting in there for 8 o'clock, I would assume that you're already on the JOB, yes, on the JOB, settling in and getting ready to start offering some excellent customer service from 8 o'clock, from 8 o'clock, reminding you, when you smile, when you answer the phone with a smile. You know that when you answer the phone, that the person on the other end, there's an energy that is transmitted, right? If you're not happy, you're not feeling it on a day, they know if you're smiling, they know if you're excited. So you answer the phone, GBN, good morning. Or you can answer, thank you for calling the Grenada Broadcaster Network. Good morning, my name is Joseph. How may I help? They hear that as compared to anything else, and they can tell what sort of mode that you're in. Reminding you that every time your telephone rings, wherever you are, it is either an existing customer or a potential customer. For an existing client, they have the ability to stay with you. For a potential client, it's an opportunity to get them on board. So whenever you answer the phone, whichever entity that you're in, even here at the GBN, the way we answer the phone, it tells, of course, a lot as to the person on the other end. They can always decide, you know what, let me just forget about those guys and go somewhere else. So wherever you are, customer service, remember the smile, and you need to exude, not smile on the inside. You need to be happy on the inside, but you should be that happy that it is felt on the outside as you go through the day. The plans for the day at the top of the hour, well, the 8 o'clock, we join the BBC for a bulletin of news that comes up them at 9 o'clock, as to the point, and Minister Oliver Joseph. He's expected to be in with us this morning. As the season continues later in the morning, we will be heading Grenville. Here we come. That is the plan this morning. I want to say a shout out to those of you that's chiming in online. Joseph Ross, Patricia Hutchinson, Catherine, and others. Good morning, Yulin. Always chiming in from New York in the morning time. We know it is cold out there, but in your case, just let us know. We'll enjoy everything else. Whenever you get a chance, you'll make your way to Spice Country to have some of what we can offer you down here. Until then, Grenada, we have all good things must come to an end. I want to encourage you to continue to play your part in becoming the next best version of yourself. Remind you that yesterday is all gone. Tomorrow is yet to come. Let's enjoy the gift of today. It's the present. We need to embrace it with open arms, and unfold the gift. You know, it's one thing to be given a gift, but you don't appreciate the gift and understand the value and virtue of the gift until you open it, and then you recognize what it is. Enjoy and accept the gift of life, and ask yourself, what can I do to allow myself to become a better individual? It's not what your country can do for you, as former British Prime Minister Winston Churchill said, but ask yourself, what can you do for your country today? As you look towards the Christmas season, start planning early, folks. Start planning early. You don't want to get into the rush of the season. Remember, we're still in there's still an issue of COVID to be dealt with. And at the end of the day, you want to try to keep yourself safe. For me, I'm avoiding any